What if your greatest enemy was not the world, but the comfort that numbs you? What if the dreams you chase every day remain distant, not because they're impossible, but because you refuse a discipline that bridges a distance? Ask yourself, when was the last time you truly examined your own life? Not your possessions, your followers, or your plans, but yourself, your fears, your excuses, your truth. Socrates asked these questions long before us, in the sunlit marketplace of Athens, challenging men who claimed to know everything, only to show them how little they knew. He believed ignorance was not an insult, but the beginning of wisdom. He believed truth required courage, and courage demanded discipline. So today, he speaks again, not from marble statues or dusty scrolls, but from the still, quiet voice inside you that whispers, "Are you living the examined life, or just surviving the unexamined one?" Because between who you are and who you could become, there lies a bridge, and its name is discipline. This is Socratic Spark, where ancient wisdom meets modern success. If you love timeless lessons and powerful motivation, hit subscribe and let's grow together. Centuries ago, in the heart of ancient Athens, there walked a man who owned nothing. No palace, no wealth, no title. And yet, he changed the destiny of human thought. His name was Socrates. He questioned kings and slaves alike, not to embarrass them, but to awaken them. He believed that the greatest victory is not over others, but over the chaos within oneself. And that is where discipline begins. Today, we live in a world full of noise. Dreams shouted from every screen, but hearts silent in confusion. We chase success without direction, and comfort without peace. We build faster, but think less. We speak louder, but understand less. Socrates would have called this the sickness of the unexamined life. He taught that freedom isn't doing what you want. Freedom is having the power to do what is right. And that power comes only through discipline. Discipline is not chains. It's the key that unlocks mastery. It's not about forcing life. It's about shaping it. Because every time you choose consistency over comfort, focus over distraction, truth over pleasure, you are building the bridge between who you are and who you could be. So when we speak of discipline, the bridge between dreams and reality, we're not just talking about habits. We're talking about the architecture of destiny itself. For Socrates, discipline was a form of love for truth, for reason, for the soul's higher calling. It was his shield against corruption, his weapon against ignorance, and his compass when the world turned blind. And maybe, just maybe, that same ancient wisdom is what the modern world has forgotten, that discipline is not about control. It's about becoming worthy of your own dream. Socrates' voice still whispers through time. Let him that would move the world first move himself. Because every bridge from dream to reality is built one disciplined step at a time. In the bustling agora of Athens, where merchants bartered and orators boasted, Socrates stood apart, a solitary figure armed with nothing but questions. A young noble, puffed with pride, might declare he knew the meaning of courage. Socrates would tilt his head, his eyes gleaming, and ask, "What is courage? Is it to fight without fear, or to face fear for the sake of what is right?" With each response, he probed deeper, peeling back layers of assumption until the noble certainty crumbled, not to humiliate, but to illuminate. This is a discipline of questioning, and it takes courage. To question is to step into the unknown, to risk discovering that your beliefs, your values, your very identity might be built on sand. Socrates called himself the gadfly of Athens, stinging the city awake from its slumber of false wisdom. But to sting requires discipline, the discipline to resist the crowd's approval, to endure their scorn, to keep asking when others demand silence. Socrates' life was a testament to this courage. He challenged the sophists who peddled knowledge for profit, exposing their shallow claims. He questioned Athens' leaders, revealing their hypocrisy. And when they accused him of corrupting the youth, he turned the trial itself into a question. Is it just to condemn a man for seeking truth? As Plato records, he told the jury, "I shall never cease from the practice and teaching of philosophy." His discipline was not in answers, but in the relentless pursuit of truth. Today, we are surrounded by voices that demand agreement. Social media, news, even our own fears. But Socrates' challenge remains. What are you afraid to question? Your career? Your relationships? Your beliefs? The discipline of questioning is the first step on the bridge from dreams to reality. It's the courage to ask, why do I live this way? And to keep asking until the truth emerges. This courage leads us to Socrates' next revelation, that true wisdom begins with admitting what we do not know. In a quiet corner of Athens, surrounded by eager students, Socrates once declared, "I know that I know nothing." The words hung in the air, met with puzzled laughter. Surely, the wisest man in Athens was joking? But Socrates was not. His wisdom lay not in what he knew, but in what he admitted he didn't. In a city where men boasted of their knowledge, his humility was radical, a disciplined refusal to cling to untested beliefs. This is a paradox of Socratic wisdom. To embrace ignorance is to open the door to truth. It takes discipline to say, "I don't know," when the world rewards certainty. It takes discipline to let go of pride, to question your assumptions, to seek rather than settle. Socrates exposed the sophist's arrogance, not by outsmarting them, but by out-questioning them. As Plato writes, he said, "I am wiser than this man, for neither of us knows anything worthwhile, but he thinks he does, and I do not." Today, we are bombarded with information, facts, opinions, algorithms that claim to know us better than we know ourselves. Yet how often do we pause to ask, what do I truly understand? The discipline of ignorance is about creating space for real knowledge. It's about questioning the narratives you're fed, the habits you follow, the dreams you chase. It's about saying, "I don't know why I'm doing this," and then daring to find out. Socrates' influence echoes through history. Plato built his philosophy on this humility. Aristotle grounded his science in observation, and even knights grapple with Socrates' fearless doubt. To embrace ignorance is to begin a disciplined journey toward clarity, a journey that asks, why do I believe this? Why do I live this way? It's the bridge from the dream of understanding to the reality of wisdom, and it leads us to the moment when Socrates' commitment to truth faced its ultimate test. The year was 399 BCE. Socrates stood before a jury of 500 Athenians, accused of corrupting the youth and denying the gods. The air crackled with tension, the crowd eager for his downfall. Yet Socrates stood calm, his voice steady. "I will obey the god rather than you, and while I have breath, I will continue to teach." His trial was not just a legal battle. It was a clash between truth and power, between discipline and fear. Socrates' discipline was his refusal to bend. He could have flattered the jury, promised silence, or fled Athens. Instead, he chose truth. He questioned the charges. How have I corrupted the youth? By teaching them to think for themselves. His words cut deep, exposing the jury's fear of a man who dared to ask too much. As Plato records, Socrates told them, "A man who is good for anything ought not to calculate the chance of living or dying. He ought only to consider whether in doing anything he is doing right or wrong." This is a discipline of truth, standing firm when the world demands you kneel. Socrates knew the cost. His questions threatened Athens' fragile order, its gods, its politics. Yet he believed truth was worth more than safety. His trial became his greatest dialogue, a testament to living what you preach. Today, we face our own trials of truth. We are pressured to conform, to echo popular opinion, to avoid hard questions, to choose comfort over conviction. But Socrates asks, what is your truth worth? Are you willing to stand for it, even when it costs you? The discipline of truth is quiet but unshakable, choosing integrity over applause, clarity over confusion, courage over convenience. It's a bridge from the dream of justice to the reality of a life that stands for something. Socrates' trial ended in death, but it birthed a legacy. His courage inspired Plato's Republic, Augustine's City of God, and countless seekers who refused to bow to lies. This discipline leads us to the heart of Socrates' philosophy, the unexamined life. The unexamined life is not worth living. Spoken at his trial, these words are Socrates' most enduring challenge. To live unexamined is to drift through existence, swayed by every opinion, desire, or fear. Socrates believed that discipline begins with self-knowledge, with asking, who am I? What do I value? Why am I here? Imagine Socrates in the Agora, stopping a wealthy merchant. What is wealth? He'd ask. The merchant might boast of gold, but Socrates would press, "Does it bring you happiness? Does it make you just?" By the end, the merchant walked away, not with answers, but with questions that haunted him. That was Socrates' gift. He taught that the examined life is about living the questions. This discipline is not easy. It requires pausing in a world that demands constant motion. It requires facing truth about yourself, your fears, your flaws, your dreams that you'd rather ignore. But Socrates showed that this is where freedom lies. The unexamined life traps you in cycles of regret, chasing things that don't matter. The examined life builds a bridge to meaning. Today, we drown out self-examination with distractions, screens, wake, noise. But Socrates' voice cuts through. Are you living or just existing? The discipline of the examined life is about carving out moments to reflect, to ask why you're angry, why you're afraid, why you're alive. It's about aligning your actions with your values, your reality with your dreams. Socrates' influence lives on in Plato's dialogues, Aristotle's ethics, and modern thinkers like Kierkegaard, who wrestle with existence itself. The discipline of the examined life is a bridge from the dream of purpose to the reality of a life well lived. It leads us to the guiding light of Socrates' philosophy, virtue. For Socrates, virtue was not a concept, it was a way of life. He believed the good life was not about wealth or power, but about being good. We are what we repeatedly do, Aristotle later echoed. Virtue was Socrates' compass, guiding him through Athens' chaos, through temptation, through death. In his final days, imprisoned and awaiting the hemlock, Socrates' friends urged him to escape. Would it be just? He asked. For him, virtue was non-negotiable. As Plato records, he said, "It is better to suffer wrong than to do wrong." This was his discipline, choosing what is right over what is easy, aligning actions with the soul's highest calling. Virtue is not about perfection, it's about direction. It's asking, is this honest? Is this kind? Is this just? In every choice. Socrates believed virtue was knowledge, knowing what is good and doing it. But that knowledge requires discipline, resisting anger, rejecting greed, overcoming fear. Today, we are surrounded by false compasses, wealth, fame, comfort. Socrates asked, where is your compass pointing? Are you chasing what shines, or what endures? The discipline of virtue builds a bridge from the dream of a good life to the reality of a life that matters. It's choosing what's right, even when no one sees. And it leads us to Socrates' final gift, the legacy of dialogue. Socrates wrote no books, built no monuments. His legacy lives in conversations, in the questions he asked, the minds he awakened, the souls he stirred. The Socratic dialogue was his art, his discipline. It was not about winning arguments, but about uncovering truth through shared inquiry. In the agora, in homes, in prisons, he engaged others with questions that cut to the core. What is justice? What is love? What is a life well lived? This discipline of dialogue is about listening as much as asking. Socrates didn't lecture. He invited others to explore with him. As Plato's dialogues show, he'd ask a question, then another, guiding his interlocutors to confront their own contradictions. His method was disciplined curiosity, a commitment to truth over ego, to understanding over victory. Today, dialogue is rare. We shout past each other, defend our tribes, cling to our biases. But Socrates' method offers a bridge, from the dream of connection to the reality of understanding. It's a discipline of asking, what do you mean? And truly listening. It's a courage to let your ideas be tested, to let your certainties be challenged. Socrates' legacy lives in every thinker who dares to question. Plato, Aristotle, even modern philosophers like Hannah Arendt. His dialogue is a living practice, a way to build bridges between minds, between dreams and reality. It asks us to carry his torch, to question, to listen, to seek truth together. You're watching Socratic Spark. If his philosophy sparks something in you, subscribe now and keep the flame of knowledge alive. In the shadow of his death sentence, Socrates sat in his cell, his friends weeping around him. Yet he was calm, even cheerful, discussing philosophy until the end. Why should I fear death? He asked, as Plato recounts. Either it is nothing, and I will feel nothing, or it is something, and I will meet the gods. This was not bravado. It was resilience, the disciplined ability to face life storms without breaking. Resilience is a discipline of enduring, of rising after every fall, of finding meaning in suffering. Socrates' life was not easy. He faced mockery, poverty, and ultimately death for his beliefs. Yet he never wavered. His resilience came from his clarity of purpose, to seek truth, to live virtuously, to question relentlessly. When Athens turned against him, he did not curse his fate. He used it to teach, to question, to grow. Today, we face our own trials, failure, rejection, loss. The world tempts us to give up, to numb ourselves with distractions. But Socrates' resilience asks, can you face your pain and keep walking? Can you turn setbacks into questions, hardships into lessons? The discipline of resilience is about choosing to move forward, not because life is kind, but because you are strong. It's about building a bridge from the dream of perseverance to the reality of a life unbroken by adversity. Socrates' resilience inspired Plato to write, Aristotle to reason, and countless others to face their own trials with courage. It's the discipline of saying, I will not be defined by what happens to me, but by how I respond. This strength leads us to the heart of Socratic philosophy, the pursuit of a flourishing life. Socrates spoke of eudaimonia, a Greek word often translated as happiness, but better understood as flourishing, a life well lived. For him, eudaimonia was not fleeting pleasure or material gain. It was a disciplined pursuit of a life aligned with virtue and reason. As he wandered Athens, questioning all, he sought not just answers, but a way to live fully, authentically, purposefully. This pursuit requires discipline, the discipline to choose what endures over what fades. Socrates believed that eudaimonia came from knowing yourself and living in harmony with that knowledge. To know thyself is a beginning of wisdom, he might have said, echoing the Delphic maxim. It's about asking, what kind of life am I building? Does it reflect my deepest values? Today, we chase fleeting pleasures, like wealth, status, mistaking them for happiness. But Socrates' question lingers, are you flourishing or just surviving? The discipline of eudaimonia is about crafting a life of meaning moment by moment. It's choosing to act with integrity, to seek wisdom, to cultivate relationships that uplift. It's building a bridge from the dream of a good life to the reality of a life that shines. Socrates' vision of eudaimonia influenced Aristotle's ethics and modern positive psychology. It's a call to live intentionally, to make every choice a step toward flourishing. This pursuit leads us to the next discipline, the mirror of self-knowledge. Socrates believed that the greatest journey is inward. Know thyself, he urged, echoing the inscription at Delphi. But self-knowledge is not a gift, it's a discipline. It requires facing the mirror of your soul, seeing not just your strengths, but your shadows, your fears, your contradictions, your hidden motives. Imagine Socrates sitting with a student, asking, why do you act this way? The student might stammer, unsure. Socrates would press gently. What drives you? Fear? Pride? Love? His questions force others to confront themselves, not to judge, but to understand. As Plato's dialogue show, this was no easy task. Self-knowledge demands a discipline to pause, to reflect, to question your own heart. Today, we avoid this mirror. We fill our lives with noise to drown out the quiet voice of truth. But Socrates asks, who are you when no one is watching? What drives your choices? The discipline of self-knowledge is about honesty, admitting your flaws, recognizing your strengths, and aligning your life with your truth. It's a bridge from the dream of authenticity to the reality of a self fully known. Socrates' call to self-knowledge shaped Plato's philosophy and modern thinkers like Jung, who explored the depths of the psyche. It's a discipline that builds clarity, purpose, and freedom. This clarity leads us to Socrates' role as Athens' provocateur. Socrates called himself a gadfly, stinging Athens awake from its slumber of complacency. His questions were sharp, relentless, designed to provoke. In the Agora, he challenged a politician's justice, a poet's wisdom, a craftsman's virtue. As Plato recounts, he said, I am that gadfly which God has attached to the state, stirring it to life. This was his discipline, to disturb, to awaken, to demand better. The gadfly's sting is not cruel, it's necessary. It takes discipline to speak truth when it's unwelcome, to challenge norms that others accept, to provoke when it's easy to conform. Socrates paid for this with his life, but he never stopped stinging. His questions forced Athens to face its contradictions, its hypocrisies, its unexamined beliefs. Today, we need the gadfly sting. We live in a world of echo chambers, where questioning is discouraged, where conformity is rewarded. But Socrates asks, what needs stinging in your life? Your assumptions? Your routines? Your society? The discipline of the gadfly is about daring to disturb yourself, your community, your world. It's the bridge from the dream of change to the reality of a world awakened. Socrates' provocations inspired revolutionaries like Martin Luther King Jr., who challenged unjust systems. The gadfly's sting is a call to action, leading us to the simplicity of Socrates' life. Socrates owned little, no wealth, no titles, no luxuries. He walked barefoot through Athens, his cloak tattered, his life unadorned. Yet his simplicity was his strength. As Plato describes, he said, "How many things I can do without." His discipline was in stripping away the unnecessary, focusing only on what mattered: truth, virtue, the soul. Simplicity is not poverty, it's clarity. It's the discipline of cutting through a clutter of desires, distractions, and possessions to find what truly matters. Socrates lived simply to think deeply, to question freely, to live authentically. His sparse life was a rebellion against Athens' obsession with wealth and status. Today, we are buried under excess, things, tasks, expectations. Socrates asks, what can you do without? What is weighing you down? The discipline of simplicity is about choosing less to gain more time, more focus, more meaning. It's the bridge from the dream of freedom to the reality of a life unburdened. Socrates' simplicity influenced Stoics like Marcus Aurelius and modern minimalists. It's a call to live lightly, to prioritize the soul over the superficial. This clarity leads us to the harmony Socrates sought. Socrates was no cold rationalist. Though he championed reason, he knew the heart had its own wisdom. In Plato's Symposium, he speaks of love as a divine madness, a force that lifts the soul toward truth. His discipline was in harmonizing reason and emotion, using both to navigate life's complexities. This harmony is a discipline of balance. Reason without emotion is sterile. Emotion without reason is chaos. Socrates questioned with logic but spoke with passion. He taught that true wisdom integrates both, using reason to guide emotion and emotion to fuel the pursuit of truth. As he engaged his students, his questions stirred their minds and hearts alike. Today, we swing between extremes, logic that ignores feeling, or feelings that defy logic. Socrates asks, can you balance your head and your heart? The discipline of harmony is about listening to both, letting them guide you together. It's the bridge from the dream of wholeness to the reality of a life fully lived. Socrates' balance inspired Aristotle's golden mean, and modern psychologists focus on emotional intelligence. This harmony leads us to the timelessness of his philosophy. Socrates lived in the present. As he faced death, he did not dwell on the past or fear the future. I am not afraid, he told his friends, as Plato recounts, for I have lived as I believed. His discipline was in embracing the eternal now, the moment where truth, virtue, and life converge. This discipline is about presence, fully inhabiting each choice, each question, each moment. Socrates didn't chase tomorrow's answers. He sought truth today. His dialogues were not rehearsals for some future wisdom. They were acts of living fully in the present. This focus gave his life its power, its clarity, its freedom. Today, we are pulled between regret for the past and anxiety for the future. Socrates asks, are you here now? The discipline of the eternal now is about choosing this moment to question, to act, to live virtuously. It's a bridge from the dream of presence to the reality of a life fully alive. Socrates' presence inspired Zen philosophers and modern mindfulness practices. It's a call to live now, leading us to the ultimate cause of his philosophy. Socrates' life ended in sacrifice. Condemned to death, he chose a hemlock over. Exile, truth over survival. As Plato records, he said, I would rather die having spoken after my manner than speak in your manner and live. His discipline was in paying the ultimate price for what he believed. This sacrifice was not reckless, it was deliberate. Socrates knew that truth sometimes demands everything. His death was his final lesson. proving that a life of integrity is worth more than a life of compromise. He drank the hemlock not in defeat, but in triumph, showing that truth outlives a body. Today, we face smaller but real sacrifices, speaking truth in a world that rewards lies, standing up when it's easier to stay silent. Socrates asks, what are you willing to give for truth? The discipline of sacrifice is about choosing what matters over what's easy. It's the bridge from the dream of integrity to the reality of a life that endures. Socrates' sacrifice inspired martyrs and reformers across history. It's a call to live boldly, leading us to the final discipline, becoming the architect of your soul. Socrates believed that you are the architect of your soul. Every question you ask, every choice you make, every virtue you pursue shapes who you become. As he told his students, the way to gain a good reputation is to endeavor to be what you desire to appear. His discipline was in crafting a soul aligned with truth, virtue, and purpose. This is the ultimate discipline, to build yourself day by day into the person you aspire to be. Socrates didn't seek fame or wealth. He sought to be good, to be wise, to be true. His life was his masterpiece, a soul sculpted through relentless questioning, unwavering virtue, and fearless truth. Today, we are distracted by external blueprints, society's expectations, others' approval. But Socrates asked, what soul are you building? The discipline of the architect is about choosing your materials, truth over lies, courage over fear, virtue over ease. It's the bridge from the dream of becoming to the reality of being. Socrates' legacy lives in every person who dares to build themselves. From Plato to modern thinkers like Camus, his life shows that you are your own greatest creation. This is the final step on the bridge, a life crafted with discipline, lived with purpose. Socrates was a flame of curiosity, burning brightly in a world content with shadows. In the streets of Athens, he approached strangers with a childlike wonder, asking, what is beauty? What is truth? As Plato's dialogues reveal, his questions were not mere exercises. They were a disciplined pursuit of understanding, a refusal to accept the world at face value. His curiosity was not aimless. It was a deliberate act of seeking, a bridge from the dream of knowledge to the reality of insight. Curiosity is a discipline because it demands effort, to look beyond the obvious, to challenge the familiar, to embrace the discomfort of not knowing. Socrates' curiosity drove him to question everyone, philosophers, politicians, poets, exposing their half-truths and inviting them to seek deeper. He believed that curiosity was a spark of wisdom, the force that keeps the soul alive. Today, we live in an age of answers, where information is a click away, yet true curiosity is rare. We accept what's given, scroll past what challenges us. Socrates asks, when did you last wonder why? The discipline of curiosity is about asking questions without fear of the answers, about seeking not to prove yourself right, but to discover what is true. It's a bridge from a dream of understanding to a reality of lifelong learning. Socrates' curiosity shaped Plato's academy and the scientific method that followed. It's a call to stay open, to keep asking, to let wonder guide you. This curiosity leads us to the weighty duty Socrates embraced. Socrates saw life as a duty, not to wealth or power, but to the soul in its pursuit of truth. As he wandered Athens, he took responsibility for awakening others, even when it made him enemies. As Plato recounts, he said, I am the gadfly, sent to stir Athens to life. His discipline was in carrying the weight of this responsibility, never shirking it, even when it led to his death. Responsibility is a discipline because it demands accountability, to yourself, to others, to truth. Socrates didn't question for his own sake alone. He believed he had a duty to his city, to his students, to the pursuit of the good. When accused of corruption, he didn't flee. He stood trial, taking responsibility for his words and actions. His life was a testament to the power of owning your role in the world. Today, we often dodge responsibility, blaming circumstances, systems, or others. But Socrates asked, what are you responsible for? Your choices? Your community? Your truth? The discipline of responsibility is about embracing your role as a builder of bridges, between your dreams and reality, between your actions and their impact. It's about carrying the weight of your purpose with courage. Socrates' sense of duty inspired thinkers like Kant, who emphasized moral responsibility. It's a call to act with intention, to own your part in the world's unfolding. This duty leads us to the paradoxical freedom Socrates found. Socrates taught that true freedom is not doing whatever you want. It's the power to do what is right. In his cell, facing death, he was freer than his accusers, bound by their fear and ignorance. As Plato records, he said, "A good man cannot be harmed, either in life or in death." His discipline was his freedom, a bridge from the dream of liberty to the reality of a life unenslaved by external forces. Discipline is freedom because it liberates you from whims, fears, and distractions. Socrates' commitment to truth and virtue gave him mastery over himself, even when Athens sought to control him. He didn't need wealth or power. His discipline gave him the freedom to live authentically, to face death with peace. Today, we equate freedom with choice, but choices without discipline often lead to chains, addiction, regret, conformity. Socrates asks, are you free, or are you enslaved by your impulses? The discipline of freedom is about choosing what aligns with your higher self, even when it's hard. It's the bridge from the dream of liberty to the reality of a life you command. Socrates' freedom influenced Stoics like Epictetus, who taught that true freedom lies within. It's a call to master yourself, to find freedom in discipline. This freedom leads us to Socrates' pursuit of justice. Socrates' life was a quest for justice, not as a legal concept, but as a way of being. In Plato's Crito, he refuses to escape prison, asking, would it be just to defy the laws? His discipline was in living justly, even when the world was unjust to him. He believed justice was a harmony of the soul, the alignment of actions with truth and virtue. Justice is a discipline because it requires consistency, even in the face of injustice. Socrates questioned Athens' laws, its leaders, its values, not to destroy, but to improve. He sought a justice that uplifted all, not just the powerful. His trial was a stand for this principle, showing that true justice begins within. Today, we see injustice everywhere, inequality, corruption, division. Socrates asks, what does justice mean to you? The discipline of justice is about acting with fairness, questioning systems that harm, and living in a way that honors the good. It's the bridge from the dream of a just world to the reality of a life that fights for it. Socrates' pursuit of justice inspired Plato's Republic and modern activists like Gandhi. It's a call to live justly, to question what's wrong, to build a better world. This pursuit leads us to the enduring power of truth. Socrates' final gift was his belief in the immortality of truth. As he faced a hemlock, he told his friends, I go to die, you to live, but which is better, only the God knows. His discipline was in trusting that truth endures beyond the body, beyond time. His death was not an end, but a beginning, as his ideas lived on through Plato, Aristotle, and countless others. Truth is immortal because it transcends the fleeting, power, wealth, even life itself. Socrates' discipline was in dedicating his life to this eternal force, questioning relentlessly, living virtuously, dying fearlessly. His truth outlived Athens' verdict, shaping philosophy, science, and ethics for centuries. Today, we live in a world of fleeting truths, trends, opinions, lies that masquerade as wisdom. Socrates asks, what truth will you leave behind? The discipline of truth is about seeking what lasts, living in a way that adds to the eternal. It's the bridge from the dream of legacy to the reality of a life that echoes through time. Socrates' immortality lives in every question we ask, every truth we seek. It's a call to live for what endures, to make your life a testament to truth. In the shadow of his trial, as Socrates faced death, he did not waver. He sipped the hemlock, his heart steady, his mind clear. Why? Because he had lived the examined life. He had questioned, sought truth, and chosen virtue. His life was his bridge, a bridge built with a discipline of courage, humility, and integrity. Socrates' wisdom is not locked in the past. It lives in you. He taught that ignorance is the beginning of knowledge, that virtue is the soul's compass, that the examined life is the only life worth living. To honor him is not to memorize his words, but to live his spirit, to question your beliefs, to seek truth with relentless discipline, to choose what is right over what is easy. As you stand at the edge of your own dreams, ask yourself, what bridge are you building? What disciplines will carry you from who you are to who you could become? Socrates' final lesson is this. The bridge between dreams and reality is not built with wishes, but with choices. Choices made with courage, guided by virtue, and grounded in truth. So let his voice linger. Let him that would move the world first move himself. Step onto the bridge. The world awaits. This was just one spark of wisdom, but there's so much more ahead. Join the journey. Subscribe to Socratic Spark, and let philosophy guide your path to success.